So, welcome to Nostalgia for the Present. Thank you for joining us. Where we talk about our favorite films and why we like them. And this week we're talking about Superman and Midnight in Paris. Both films
feature.
about people with
We never figured
With
out
people
exactly
in
how
them?
we're going to connect these films
Yep.
together, but I think that there are some threads between them
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. If-
Another thing I thought of is
Yeah.
that we also talk about movies that we don't love as much sometimes.
that's true,
But
that's true.
I feel like we try to pick ones that we'll like.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Midnight in Paris is a really special pick for this podcast because it's a film it's a nostalgic film about nostalgia.
Yes,
You
that's
know?
right. I remember we talked about that when we watched it.
And we did, or at least I hadn't seen it and you had, so
Mhm.
I didn't realize how meta it was going to be to watch it and discuss it. But I'm excited for that. I think people are familiar enough with the story and everything of Superman, so we probably don't need to get into like an overview of the one from this year.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we could talk about what makes this Superman movie different from other ones.
Yes.
And we can talk about Midnight in Paris too.
Yeah.
What other Superman movies have you watched, and what did you think?
So
briefly
I've
about
seen the
those.
original one, and I watched those growing up, Superman 1 and 2.
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. And the number 1 and 2 from that, and loved them when we watched them as a family, maybe twice. But I didn't have any particular like devotion to the character of Superman
Mm-hmm.
or to those films.
Yeah. same here.
Like I enjoyed them, but I wasn't like, it wasn't as central for me as like say Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think partly because I watched them a little bit maybe too young. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah. And then I also saw Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman.
The cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah. Not even gonna get into that. But yeah.
Probably a good point.
Yeah,
Good idea.
Man of Steel, I remember thinking it was going to be really bad going into it because I had gotten a lot of negative opinions, and I think that made me like it a little bit more because I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be like really bad, but it was more just like a an entertaining movie that was, but did really nothing for me. Again, I just have always found the character of Superman kind of boring. Like, I just, I didn't, now I don't feel that way anymore. Honestly, after seeing this portrayal, I really enjoyed it a lot. And it changed my mind on Superman because I was like, why does anyone care about this? Kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, what is interesting about a character who can do anything, but then also has a rock that makes him weak? Like, I just didn't understand the dynamic. Yeah, much more of a Batman guy.
Yeah.
And
same here.
absolutely loved Justice League, Young Justice, Teen Titans growing up too. I want to mention that.
Okay.
And
Not Justice League the movie.
no, the
the
cartoon
show, yeah.
growing up.
Yeah.
And then also the Game Boy game that was like really fun where you would play those characters.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was a big fan of what I knew Justice League could be like, and disappointed by, as I'm sure most people were, just like all of the DCU. And up until maybe this film. Yeah. Pretty
Gotcha.
much. I can't think of any other one that I was like, oh, that was so good. I don't think.
Yeah. I definitely grew up being more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy. But also, I didn't watch most of these movies until I was in high school because my parents were kind of strict on what I could watch.
Yeah, same here.
But I was much more of a Batman guy than a Superman guy, as you know. We can talk about that more in the podcast.
Yeah.
But my context for Superman was similar. I think I watched the 70s Superman movie in middle school, probably, and I thought it was fine. I thought Christopher Reeve was great. Like, I thought he was a really great fit for the character. He really defined the look and the feel of the character.
Yeah, very stoic.
Yeah, but like very tenderhearted too.
Yeah,
and it
not in a removed way. He wasn't cold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think also John Williams's score was a huge part of what made that movie.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And that was one of the qualms that I had with the new Superman movie is, and I'll talk about what I liked about it today too, but the whole score for the new Superman just ripped off of John Williams' score, and it really just felt like a movie trailer remake of the score, like the whole time.
Absolutely.
And I've never seen that before. Definitely. Like the trailer was like that. And I was like, okay,
I've never seen that been done before.
Yeah, they do that in trailers a lot where they'll use an old theme or they'll have a pop song and they redo it and make it epic or whatever.
Yeah.
And I like that sometimes. It works.
For a trailer.
Yeah. But then the whole movie also
it was weird.
Was like that. And it just
was a weird choice.
Yeah. I didn't love it. But
if you're gonna do an homage, make it more like worthy of being an homage and more subtle. As for a score, there's a lot of ways that they could have played around with and maybe even like woven in that theme occasionally throughout an original soundtrack that would have been plenty cool and enough of a reference to where people would be like, oh yeah, rather than just being like, oh, let's just do the same music.
Yeah, I will say, and I'll try to not get too off track with this, but I think a composer who could have made a new score and done it justice is Michael Giacchino. Yeah. He's my favorite film composer.
Yeah.
And he absolutely knocked it out of the park with The Batman, I thought. And that I am biased about that movie. I love that movie.
The newest one with Robert Pattinson?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's called The Batman.
Yeah, and that's my favorite Batman too.
Yeah.
And that's huge. That is a huge thing coming from me because the Dark Knight films were in my top 10.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but just as a trilogy, as a story, top 10 films period might still be. But well, no, they're not. But that I was like, there's no way I can like it more. No, but they're so different. I mean, and his soundtrack really contributed to that.
Yeah,
like in a really distinct way. It was like totally its own film. It almost felt like, I mean, obviously still using the archetype of Batman, but it was such a different story and look and feel than the Christopher Nolan work that it didn't even feel like I had to compare them, which is pretty impressive for something that's literally using the same character. And I will say I did feel that way with watching the Superman too. Maybe not quite as much, and maybe a good soundtrack would have lended to that.
Yeah.
It didn't feel as distinct as it could have, but I didn't spend the movie comparing it to Christopher Reeve or what's his face? The
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, he's
awesome.
Much cooler guy than he is a good actor in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's fair. Yeah. I guess my point in bringing all of that up was that the score was definitely one of the weaker points of the movie, but I liked the style. I thought that Henry Cornsweet was awesome. I thought he fit the character really well. Yep. He seems like an amazing guy too.
Okay,
just
cool.
in like interviews and stuff that I've seen of him.
Cool. That's always good. It's always like good when you feel like you can root for somebody. Yeah. I don't know, especially superheroes for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, because they're supposed to be playing this character that you like deeply care about, and like Superman especially is like a moral figure.
Yes,
really,
like Captain America.
Yeah, and so like if they're like a scummy person, I don't think you can fully detach that. From what you're seeing, I don't think
you out of the film more.
Yeah, so I thought that he was a great casting choice. I thought pretty much everybody in the movie was very well casted.
Totally agree.
And they made some interesting choices, like, you know, departing from the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, for example, and casting Nathan Fillion, and he has like a blonde bowl cut, and
oh my gosh, he was great. He was so funny.
Yeah, there were so many things like that were like really unique choices that I think James Gunn probably had a big part in. Like he brought his like quirky weirdness But I mean, also they were pulling from the comics, from what I can tell.
Okay.
So
okay, I'm not familiar.
yeah, I think that those were some things that I thought were really strong about the film.
Do you want to talk any more? I know like film score is one of your sweet spots. Why specifically like Michael Giacchino? I know he's your favorite, but why he would have been good for developing this score specifically?
I think
like what makes you think that?
I think that Michael Giacchino is one of the best film composers alive. And I think if you look at his track record, it's hard to argue with that. I welcome a debate with someone about that topic. He has scored a handful of very successful Pixar movies with very iconic scores like The Incredibles and Ratatouille. Oui. And he has done the new Spider-Man movies, and he did the new Batman movie. I think he did like some of the new Mission Impossible movies, maybe like the new Jurassic Park movies or something like that. There's a handful of others I'm missing.
Worst work and come back with it next episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, I'm
just kidding.
I would be interested to see. Oh, he did the new Fantastic Four movie as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
And that wasn't my favorite of what he's done, but I thought it was good.
Okay.
But I think
maybe he was busy with that.
Yeah.
Because they called him up for Superman. He's like, sorry, Marvel already got me.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be really funny if that had happened. But I mean, I know that he's already worked with Marvel doing Spider-Man, so he probably built some connections there somehow with that.
Yeah.
But I think in short, I would say that he is very strong in a lot of different genres, and he's just really good at creating a score that makes you really feel and really he just makes music that is really specifically tailored to whatever film he's doing, and it just like punches you in the gut in the best way. Like Up is one of his best scores ever.
Yeah.
And that score is like gut wrenching.
Well, there's also something about I think films like Superman where the character is everything, and even just when you can have themes, distinctive themes for each character. Like, I don't think I could come away with the film with a distinct theme for the Justice Gang, or what was that? Or a distinct theme for Lois Lane.
Yeah, like
and the Daily Planet. Like something like that would have, I think, would have helped the world come to life a little bit more too.
Yeah, I agree.
And gave it a more consistent tone. The movie, that was something that was like a little bit, that was one of my slight qualms with it, because I want to get into positive stuff too. But was that the range for where the film wanted to go was interesting. It was hard to kind of keep together, I think, because Lex Luthor was so evil and so bad. And the Pocket Universe and the torturing of the dog and the capturing of the dog, the capturing of the baby, being held hostage for
all the other people that are in
the other people that are in the Pocket Universe that are just there without trial forever. All of these things. I mean, that might have been the most evil thing I've seen a villain do in any film recently. Like for the superhero films, I was like blown away by how evil that was.
Except maybe Civil War. That one was rough too. Yeah, I know what you mean though. And I think it felt especially like potent, or whatever word you would want to call it, because of it's funny because I keep coming back to like noticing the political connections, but I'm not really trying to talk about anything political.
But the movie does.
Yes, the movie
does a really good job talking about that too.
Yeah,
without
I think for
being
the most part, I would agree. Yeah,
to me.
Yeah, I think like, yeah, I would say that with Lex Luthor, that seems like it's definitely coming from a place of noticing that there are so many tech CEO billionaires that have so much control and stake in the world. Okay, that was the connection that I felt like I saw with Lex Luthor, is like the power that people like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or whoever hold and like an exaggerated version of what someone like that would look like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's what I love so much about Superman. And I wanted to get to this, is that Superman is so fundamentally an American story, which is so it was developed by two Jewish guys actually, initially. And I was actually, the Symbolic World, Jonathan Peugeot, had a great video that actually compelled me to watch Superman, because frankly I haven't really been into watching superhero movies for like a few years.
Yeah.
And he talks about the symbolism behind this too. But the idea of the superhero being the integrated other for us, and the idea then of Jewish writers writing a character that is an alien and the way that they maybe felt themselves, and then is saying, how does he become integrated and adopt the American identity to the extent that it actually gives him superpowers. And so I want to clarify, I'm not saying like, assimilating to America makes you a superhero.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is true for all of the superheroes. What they do is they have something about themselves that is other, that is separate from the society, that is makes them an outcast in some way. And then when they discover how to fully integrate their own difference for the good of those around them, then that's what creates their superpower. And I think that's and so to me, I think that's a specifically American idea as well, is that doing that in an individual way is what catalyzes your superpowers, is you recognize, and for him, the culminating emotional moment in the film where he's saying, my mistakes, my weaknesses, and my humanity, even though he is an alien, he's saying his humanity, his desire for the good for people around him, is actually his greatest superpower. So he kind of calls that out within the film. And so I think James Gunn had an awareness of what makes Superman a compelling character, and actually made that come to life in the film in a way that none of the other recent, or even really any film iterations have done. Especially for me, I didn't really see the value or interest in Superman until I saw this film, and I recognized he's saying I'm Superman because I come from I'm fundamentally someone from this like farmland in, I don't even know where it is, but it's token farmland. I mean, I think that's kind of the interesting thing about this too. And then from these very normal adoptive parents who their good is not something extraordinary, but it's a simple good. And I think that those principles and these values about the ability to do good for others, regardless of whether you do it perfectly or not, as Lois Lane points out, but a belief in the ability that striving to do the good to the best of your ability will result in a positive for the society. And I mean, I think you could be cynical about that, certainly, and I think they have a healthy amount of cynicism about that view in the movie. But it does triumph with a right view of, well, what else can I do? I'm gonna keep doing this. He returns home, he wakes up in his bed, and he remembers, oh man, there's such great visual storytelling where he wakes up in his bed and he's kind of rising up again from the place that made him who he is. So I just thought it was so well told in the way it captured that spirit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of, I was trying to think about this earlier and I didn't exactly get words to it, but I think a big connecting thread between Midnight in Paris and Superman is the refreshing level of hopefulness a hopeful perspective on the world in the face of and in spite of opposing perspectives of how you should live your life or who you should be or things like that. I need to think about that a little bit more. But what was surprising to me in Superman, specifically with James Gunn, to be honest, is with Guardians of the Galaxy, his movies have a lot of heart, but it also feels like the movies do still promote a little bit of nihilism, where so many background characters, for example, are just like dying for humor, basically. And it's not dark because it's like Mr. Blue Sky is like playing in the background or whatever. And so you're like laughing at it, kind of similar to Superman too, like where Mr. Terrific is like killing all those people. Or, well, no, actually, I don't think he was killing them. But like, I'm just saying James Gunn likes to put
he does
lighthearted music over something that's like really intense happening. And other people do that too.
I'm really exhausted with that device. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I am too.
Really exhausted.
It was refreshing to see the way that he actually, like, he chose. I read about how people in test screenings did not like the scene with, or the part where Superman rescues a squirrel. They're like, what the heck? Why is this in the movie? Why is he rescuing a squirrel? Do you remember that? He's fighting the big monster and there's a little squirrel that's going to get hit. He's saving people and then he goes and saves a little squirrel too. And I just thought that was like, that honestly really surprised me for someone who usually is having movies where violence is trivialized. And it's like, yeah, you're a hero for the greater good, but like lots of people die and terrible things happen. And it's just, oh, well, life doesn't really matter that much anyway. It was really interesting to see like, oh, actually this character is like viewed by most people as naive and overly intense about saving life, to the point where he's saving a squirrel. Like that honestly really surprised me. And I think that that's kind of rare.
It seems like it was a good choice though, to include that, because it reveals that the actual source of tension between him and Lois, which is his kind of Naviet, like, you know, his fundamental belief in like, no, if I do this, then that's the right thing. Like, I'm just following my conscience, you know? Yeah. And it's interesting because it does seem like he has such a good arc in the story. It's really not too overt to me. You know, he integrates that view without becoming nihilistic. He recognizes his facade, but then he also, once he steps beyond it, he actually he makes it clear that he recognizes that he's stepping beyond it while also still making the same choice to come back and to kind of just do the good that he sees. Which is was so refreshing for me. But also just like I mentioned, that conversation between him and Lois, that's when I woke up and I was like, oh, this is a good, if nothing else, if I come away with this scene, I'm going to be so happy. I was so happy that that scene was in there, where from the beginning, they chose to avoid all of the tropes that arise in a superhero romantic interest thing. Oh, what's the identity going on? Oh, she's so enamored with his capabilities that it takes a while for them to get to a point where they're actually having real conversations and tension in their relationship for her to recognize that he's human. But I love how they just jump straight into that. And they start in the middle of the relationship. Such a good narrative choice for the writing. And also, because that's where we are as viewers at this point. You know, I don't think people really view superheroes in a removed sense anymore. And we expect a humanity out of them. And an ordinariness out of our superheroes.
That's a big difference from where Superman originally started. Huge. Because his character originally was a godlike figure. Which that is what Zack Snyder did choose to lean into. And I think it is interesting and it's cool, but I do think that deep down people probably long more for a human character. And so I thought it was a cool choice.
A human god character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, you know, Superman, and I mean, again, this is something Zack Snyder did too. There's a lot of connections between Superman and Jesus, for example, the like deity humanity connection.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that Superman in this movie leans much more human than God, really. It's more just about he has godlike power, but his spirit and mind and everything is just like a person, basically. And I personally did feel like I felt like there was some dialogue that was pretty on the nose, where he would talk about himself being human and talk about like just following his conscience or doing things that I was like, okay, this is kind of like a little bit over the top, especially at the end when he has the speech to Lex Luthor. Like some people really liked that, and I personally was like, this is like I already picked all this up and he didn't have to say it so bluntly, you know, about how he's like a human being. I don't remember what he says, but it's, you know, the
way
end.
It was acted, it looked on screen to me, he did such a good job of talking like he was realizing it as he was saying it.
Yeah.
And I think that was why I liked it. Not because I didn't know that, but because it was cool for him to be like, wait a second, this is the point. And him have that realization.
Yeah, maybe it's just the like slightly cynical filmmaker in me that's like thinking of the screenwriters writing. Like I'm just like, oh my gosh, like
yeah. It was a little. I agree with you. It was a little bit too over the top and on the nose. And then same, but for me, that feeling was 10x when my main problems in the film were primarily with Luthor. You got to the end and he's describing his motivation of envy. Like, I want to be like Einstein and like blah, blah, blah. I was like, it's not that was motivation is so ridiculous. It's that the way it was written was in a moment where it didn't make sense. It was also for the character, like the whole rest of the film, he's being portrayed as very aloof and kind of, he has his whole thing is that he's doing all this bad stuff and it's just easy for him and he doesn't really care and yada yada. And then there's this like shift in the third act of the movie where all of a sudden he's like horribly emotionally motivated by envy and like all this stuff. And it just didn't really like, he didn't really seem like a real person to me. And I think it was poor directing. I don't think it was Nicholas Holt's fault. I think he kind of squeezed as much as he could out of it.
Yeah,
I think it was a poor direction in writing for his character arc. It just was like, you're like, what? So he's aloof, but then all of a sudden I'm supposed to be compelled by like his emotional involvement in the rivalry between him and Super. That was the other thing. I just didn't understand his fixation. I mean, until the culminating maybe like political interventions where it's like, well, I can't take over this country if Superman's going to stop me. I don't know. It felt like I've said this and I'm kind of repeating, or at least I'm expanding on like what I wrote in Letterboxd too. But it felt like there were two different people in who wrote him for the first and second half of the movie. It's like one person's like, oh, we're gonna have him just be super aloof and do all this evil stuff, but just like not even really care. And then in the second half of the movie, they were like, oh no, he like really cares and he really wants to do all the super cool evil stuff so that way he can compete with all the greats. Like I was just like, I don't know. That speech was like, I am very done with this.
Yeah, nailing a villain is pretty difficult. I think there's, especially in superhero movies, there's so many tropes. It's easy to fall into the campiness or things that are really cliched, you know? So I think there's only a few films that really like fully knock it out of the park. And I agree that his character didn't feel the most fleshed out.
I think I think they should have gone the route that the villain should have been more like Lois Lane. It should have, and I know
that's a hot take.
The villain should have been more like Lois Lane saying, who are you to be making these decisions for the world? You know?
Yeah.
Who are you to be using the power in this way? And to be contesting that ability.
I think the conflict very much is pushing that direction.
It is.
In the movie.
But Luthor doesn't feel that way. I guess... I guess he's just basically saying, I don't have a problem with that. I just want to make my own decisions.
It feels like he's like, I am gonna like pretend to play by the rules, and I'm gonna get you in trouble for breaking these rules about intervening in these global conflicts and things like that.
But I'm gonna torture your dog. And I was like, this is crazy.
I can tell you were very affected by the dog torture.
That was my other problem with this film. Is it's just basically a ripoff of John Wick, the whole thing.
Yeah,
that was my big issue, because think about it. Very capable main character with lots of physical ability gets his dog stolen, is angry, and tries to get the dog back. It's the same plot. So I think that they should have, I don't know, I feel like there's a little bit of copyright violation there.
I watched Fantastic Four recently, and I had seen connections online where people were comparing Fantastic Four to The Incredibles. Have you seen Fantastic Four?
No, I didn't have the chance.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I'm waiting for it to come out on streaming.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fantastic Four was pretty good. The reason I brought it up was there are even more similarities than what you just mentioned between Fantastic Four and Incredibles, and it's like kind of crazy. Like,
okay.
Same composer, Michael Giacchino, for both movies, like Nuclear Family of Four, like new. Yeah,
I think not.
And there's a mole villain in both movies, and I shouldn't spoil things for that movie.
I don't care.
I thought it was good. I'm interested to see how these two movies age, because it was not to this level, but it felt a little bit like Barbenheimer. Not fully, because that was like a big deal.
Yeah,
but like these two superhero movies coming out at the same time was like, oh, whoa. Like,
yeah,
I feel like it caught people's attention a little bit.
I think this film felt to me most like Captain America, if I were to compare it to a different film, both in the terms of the impact it had for me and why I liked it, and then also how I think it's going to progress going forward. I think it's setting up a world where I think I'll like the other films even better.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do.
Yep, you got the girl cousin,
Supergirl.
Yeah, and then also
the Justice Team, and then
Team,
or whatever their
Justice Crew,
what gang. I can't remember what it is.
I think it was Justice Gang. Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they'll do with Batman also, because Robert Pattinson is in his own universe. I think Batman.
Yeah. We're always interested to see what's going on with Batman. Cheers.
One day we'll talk about the Batman movie that we made together.
Yeah, we definitely need to unpack it. We should have a Batman episode where we talk about every single Batman movie and our Batman movie and their influences on each other. Every single one.
That would be
except for all of the ones, except for all of the ones not made in the past 20 years. So just the Christopher Nolan trilogy and the newer one.
Not all the Batman.
All of them, but only all of the ones that I.
Yeah, but there's a handful of other Batman things.
Those are the only ones.
Okay.
I'm not interested.
Batman 1989 not accepted.
Nope, rejected.
Fair enough. I disagree, but we'll talk about
unoriginal.
It in our 6-hour episode. I think actually that movie had a huge influence on the other Batman movies and everything Batman after it, but that can be a discussion for another day. There's also
agree to disagree, but it doesn't actually exist.
There's a Lego Batman game coming out.
The Lego Batman movie was now. You want to talk about influence?
Yeah. Why didn't you include that one?
Well, that's why I said Batman. I said any of them in the last 20 years. That's included.
The Lego Batman movie inspired me to get a 9-pack. Just kidding. I've never had
the beginning of my workout journey. Just kidding. I don't have a 9-pack. I have a 10-pack.
Well, should we transition on that?
Yeah.
To Midnight in Paris.
Right. Yes. So to talk about Owen Wilson's 9-pack in this movie.
Owen Wilson as Batman.
He's my inspiration, and Midnight in Paris is where he is being Batman in Paris.
That would be a really. Oh, that actually. This is a side note.
Do it.
But it just made me think of Jason Bateman's Batman commercial for State Farm. Did you see that?
They're great. They're great.
That
was so
was
funny.
So brilliant.
I really like
funny.
it. Yeah. Okay, let me try and do an impression of Owen Wilson as Batman.
Oh wow.
This is gonna go so well. Guys, where is Rachel? Gosh. Oh my gosh.
You said, guys.
Wow. Where even is Rachel? Yeah. So
I'm trying to think of something that his character would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't really feel like that. Man, guys, the Joker. Wow. The Joker's really taking
Joker,
over.
we're traveling back in time. Wow. Wow, Rachel, you're hot.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So Midnight in Paris is a Woody Allen film. And as stated in the Apple TV show, The Studio, perverts make great films, apparently. We love it, but we hate it. We don't, love, what is it? Hate the player, not the game. So, yeah, I don't.
We could probably have a whole episode just on that topic, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I know we would both have thoughts about
I
that.
don't think Woody Allen is a good person, as far as I know. I don't really know any of the details. So, but that aside, I mean, I had no idea he wrote this when, you picked this, but,
Party
this,
foul.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I did not know he directed it the first time I watched it, which was during COVID. And then when I rewatched it with you, I knew that he did. And I also, the reason that I learned a little bit about him was reading a book that has nothing to do with filmmaking, but it mentioned the story of how he had an affair that was very famous. Oh. And he was quoted in an interview being asked about why he did it. And he said, the heart wants what it wants. And apparently that like turned into a really big iconic quote.
Whoa. He's the one who originally said that.
I guess so. I mean, I'm sure people have said things like that for.
I was looking at his films today because I really love his writing style. And it really seems like it carried over to Noah Baumbach a little bit. When I think of Woody Allen, I think of Noah Baumbach. And Noah Baumbach is probably my favorite writer.
You like the realistic dialogue?
Yes.
Everybody's talking all over each other. And,
yes.
Yeah.
And I like the drama of personal relationships.
Yeah.
Without necessarily a lot of plot going on.
Yeah.
Although, and I don't think that's characteristic of all Baumbach's films. But yeah, just I think there's something, because the only other Woody Allen film I've seen, and this is such a weird thing that these are my two Woody Allen films that I've seen, is also A Rainy Day in New York, which is Timothée Chalamet, Selena Gomez. Student comes to New York with city for the weekend with his girlfriend, falls in love with a different girl, and then his girlfriend falls in love with somebody else. And
that sounds like Midnight in Paris.
Yeah.
That's like the same.
I know.
Like he comes to Paris with his fiance. And she kind of is falling in love with another guy, and he kind of falls in love with someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of the actual structure, very similar. And the writing, like the tone is so similar. Honestly, it's much, much more believable in this film for me, because these characters, the actors look older. Whereas Timothée Chalamet is talking like Owen Wilson does in this movie, but he looks like he's like 12 just because of the nature of his face. Yeah. So it's a little less believable. Anyway, tangent. Midnight in Paris is where Owen Wilson's character Gil comes to Paris with his girlfriend, whose name you looked up, but I don't remember.
I don't remember it either.
And Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, Rachel McAdams.
His girlfriend. And they come to Paris, and he's saying, oh, why don't we just stay here? Oh, why don't I just come and live in Paris? He's Inez.
Wow, we should stay in Paris.
Inez, this is great here. And he wants to stay. She thinks that's silly. She likes Paris, but for just the very kind of like regular tourist reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a love for the past, for writers of the past. He's a kind of successful screenplay writer, but who has written, not in his opinion, not really any like serious literary or like cinematic films or whatever. And then one of the nights that he's wandering around, he gets transported back to the 1920s, I guess it is. Yeah,
the 20s.
And he meets a bunch of all the big name characters from that era who were in Paris at that time, which I think that's one of the fun parts about this film. One of the really fun parts is just being like, what? They were also in Paris in the 1920s?
And all the interconnected relationships, which I think are real.
I think so too.
I think these people knew each other.
And you're just, what?
Yeah.
What? That guy's here too? And you're having the same reaction as him, which is kind of fun feeling.
Yeah, except he knew all the people a lot better than I did. So like some of them I was like, I don't really know who this is.
Okay.
But
I think I knew all of them except for maybe that one of the women. But yeah, he runs into like Hemingway. He runs into
You don't know all women?
I mean,
name a woman.
I know.
Have you seen videos where Billy Eichner goes up and he interviews people and says, name a woman? And they're like,
Have you seen him?
You have like 4 billion options. You can't think of one. He's really good at making people feel awkward.
Out Karen's the Karen. Karen's back.
Yeah.
Oh man, that guy's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's, I think some of the central ones though is like Hemingway, is it? Or
Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald. And his wife.
His wife. And then is it a painter?
Picasso. And Gertrude Stein. Yep. And they also meet a couple of artists from the 1890s too, the like impressionist painters.
Yeah.
And
Degas, I think. One of them.
Maybe. Monet or I can't remember.
Matisse or something. Yeah, some like
get a lot
that.
of them mixed up.
And so he goes back to this time period, and Picasso, is it Picasso's girlfriend?
Yeah, I think he has multiple girlfriends, maybe.
Yeah, but Picasso does. But his girlfriend at the time, his lover.
Yeah.
Is the person who Gil becomes interested in when he goes back to this time period.
Yeah.
So that's the plot.
Adriana.
How did you see the relation? What is the relationship that you began to see between these two films, Superman and Midnight in Paris? Also, I think this was nominated for Best Picture in 2011, and it won Best Screenplay, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I think we did talk about
that.
Which
is remarkable to me. Like, it was like, 3.5 to me. Like, entertaining and slightly important.
Yeah, but slightly. I remember a few weeks ago when we watched this movie, we were at your house and I just had a list of a bunch of movies that I was like, oh, we could watch this or this or this. And we ended up settling on that one, partially because I thought that you would like it potentially.
Yeah.
It made me think of you. I definitely enjoyed the film less the second time that I watched it. And I think it's because the novelty and certain specific things about it really touched me. But then when I actually take a step back and looked at the film again, like I didn't love it. But there are things that I really liked about the film.
Yeah, I love the things that it brings up so much.
Yeah.
All the topics that it wants you to think about are ones that I love thinking about.
Yeah.
And that I love watching films about. So
yeah. And I think it also we realized at the end of the movie or towards the end, like it is such a distinct connection with nostalgia for the present.
Yes.
Because nostalgia is like the key theme in that movie because it's about how people are not content in their own time and they wish that they could live in a previous time. And Owen Wilson goes back in time and thinks the 1920s are it, but then the girl he falls in love with just wants to go back to the 1890s.
Yep.
So I thought that was a really interesting theme, and I thought that the film like plays around with that idea well and asks some good questions. And I think that a big part of what connected those two films for me, which I think part of what I thought would be interesting for this podcast is, rather than solely focusing on one film, always pairing films together and having there be an interesting, unique discussion between them. Like I thought about that when we did Boy and the Heron and Count of Monte Cristo. That was the first time that we did two together.
Right.
So I just was thinking about Midnight in Paris, and I was thinking about the uniqueness of a protagonist who is a romantic or naive or viewing the world in a positive way that is not as common. And I think movies like that are not as common. And I think I relate to protagonists like that because sometimes I struggle with cynicism, but then sometimes I would say that I want to view the world more naively or more positively than some people do. And I think it's really refreshing to see a protagonist that you really specifically relate to.
Yes.
You know, like not just like, oh, I care about this person, but I feel similar to this person.
Yeah.
It makes you feel seen.
Right. I felt that way with Gil, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I would say I like his character isn't the best, but I relate to his temperament and the way that he approaches creativity and his thoughts and like kind of being misunderstood a little bit.
Yep.
And I would never want to be the guy that's like, oh, I'm so misunderstood, you know, but I think that in any ways that you do feel that in your life, it's refreshing.
I'm so misunderstood.
Wow. I feel like it's refreshing to see that and to feel that you're not alone, even if it is a fictional character. I think that's like a big part of what filmmaking does, is it like shows you that you're not alone. It makes people feel seen. And the messy thing with this movie is that Woody Allen is doing that. And so I'm like, well, I don't want to relate to someone who is like very publicly, unashamedly having an affair.
Right.
But then he did create something that definitely was tugging on my heart in some ways, even though it was far from perfect. So I think that was some of the connecting point for me.
Yeah. And I mean, on the point of nostalgia, the other thing that occurs to me as a similarity between this and Superman is nostalgia itself. Superman is such a primary character. You know, you think, when I think of Superman, I think of him as like the original superhero. I don't know if like canonically that's the case or anything like that. And obviously we have concepts of superheroes that go beyond that. But in the way I think about superheroes, I think about Superman being the kind of original. And I think also there's some sense in which his character is acting out of a nostalgia. If we're defining nostalgia as a desire for a time in the past when things were better, or a sense of longing for the past, I think that Superman can kind of give that to some people when you're watching it.
Yeah.
You know, because it seems like almost like it would be easier to be a good man in an older decade. And I think that's why I really liked, what I really loved about Midnight in Paris is just his desire for the difference in culture that is produced by a lack of distractive information technology, which we have plenty of. And I was just curious today, I was thinking about today how I wonder how much it is that we perceive the past as positive because we have less of an ability to see into who they were and what they were really struggling with. Where they were like, do we just idolize that time simply because people were less vulnerable about what they struggled with. I don't really know. Part of me thinks that can't be all true, but I think it also has to be partly true, because it's always been true that people have this sense of nostalgia, and an awareness of the past and a desire for the past. But I also think
I think there's a dynamic with looking at the past that can affect you positively or negatively. And that would be just the idea that the past is behind you, and so it's familiar and it has already been accomplished, and the future is unknown, and that can create fear. And it kind of makes me think of a quote from the book Man's Search for Meaning, by Viktor Frankl, and he says that essentially, and some of these are ideas that he gets from other people, but he says that it's really rewarding to be someone who has lived a long, full life and to look back on a life of achievement and accomplishment. You have lived your life and it's solidified, and there's like peace in that, looking back and knowing that you have lived this life that you've lived and made these choices. And there is more of that tension being a young person looking ahead at the life that you've not lived yet.
Yes.
And so I think it's easy to let that fear turn into longing for the comfort of the past, even for a past that we ourselves did not see or experience.
Right.
I mean, maybe there's someone alive who is 100 years old that was born during that time, but no one remembers that time. No one was alive during that time. The 1920s specifically. So I think that that's part of it, is like the familiarity and the comfort of the past. And I like the subject matter of the film, even though it doesn't do it perfectly. I like that it chooses to be like, okay, he's going to go back in time and he's going to meet these people.
Yep.
And he's going to realize even more how real they were. And he falls in love with it.
Yes.
But then he's also able to see like, oh, like I'm in my own time. I can be present in my time. These were real people who they should have been present in their time because their time was great.
Yep.
And same with the 1890s or whenever.
Yep.
Just I liked that message of the film.
And I was looking back at their time while I was watching the movie and being like, wow, that's great. They basically, it seems like the characters in the film, to what I remember, had like, flip phones or like little Blackberries or something like that.
When the movie was filmed.
Yeah, I was like,
yes.
Oh, that looks great.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a moment of nostalgia while.
Yeah.
When they're in Paris.
Yeah.
And his outfits are very 2011.
Yeah. Our generation is gonna, our generation, I know you have a child already, so I'm expanding a little bit farther, but like our generation will have kids that will be growing up, and, Netflix is going to start making TV shows that are set in the 2000s or the 2010s, and that'll be like a throwback, kind of like Stranger Things.
Yep.
I think that is so interesting to think about. Like our childhood already people nostalgize our childhood.
Yeah, it's definitely already happening in fashion and in film and music. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just such an interesting phenomenon. Yeah. Like if you wait 20, 30, 40 years, people start to have nostalgia for what they probably would have used to have had disdain for.
What was the present?
What was the present?
Yeah.
That's good.
I think also, to me, I just keep coming back to this sense of why I like that we kind of chose nostalgia for the present as a name for the podcast a little bit on a whim. I mean, not fully, but as part of an initial brainstorming thing.
Yeah, that just worked, and then we decided that we were going to do it.
Yeah, and we'll keep it for now at the very least. But for me, I love that concept because then you're turning your longing and your hope for your expectation for the good to where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then that is why this film to me actually works and is hopeful, is because it says all this, but then in the end, he does come back to the present, and then there is a woman there who can be there for him and present in that moment with him, and who he can be with that isn't longing for the past herself. And
and she's not like a carbon copy of the girl that he fell in love with. I appreciated that too. Like she seems just different in some ways. Like it's just she's another person.
Yeah, and she's slight. She doesn't have a lot of screen time or dialogue time.
Yeah.
But I think the point of her character is to say, when you turn this nostalgia to the present, it allows you with an expectant hope to realize the reality that's in front of you right now. And to have a longing for how good things could be right now.
Yeah.
And are. So.
And because of that theme, we're now dedicating the rest of our podcast to this movie. Every episode.
Yep, every single episode.
Just kidding. That would be tough. That would be hard.
It would be easy, and we're going to.
Gotta knock it out of the park.
Yeah. We're gonna read biographies of Owen Wilson, of Rachel McAdams. We'll go in depth. So yeah, anyone not interested in this film, stop listening now, because this is it.
Yeah, hopefully people are watching because they're interested in the film.
Yeah.
Or maybe we got them interested.
Yeah.
But that being said,
I would recommend it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that this is a movie that I like, a movie that gets you thinking and leaves you in a better place than you were before. Yep. And I think with this movie, there are some things that I thought were slightly weird. Like there are a lot of things with the relationships in the movie that we didn't even get into very much. But like Inez's character is just like really toxic, which I mean, people are like that, but there were things about the movie that's like, I'm not going to just like watch this movie over and over. It's not like my favorite movie, but I thought it does some really cool things. There's some funny moments in the movie too. Yeah. Like, especially the dynamic with Paul's character where he's like, monologuing about all these historical things. And then like initially Gil tries to correct him and everyone like shuts him down. And then later when he has traveled back in time, he corrects him because he went back and he like actually knows the details.
So
funny. There were a lot of little funny moments like that I appreciated.
Yeah. His character is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So overall, like I would agree. I'd probably rate the movie like a 3.5. Yeah. I enjoyed it, but
same for Superman for me.
Yeah. I'm interested. Maybe I mentioned this a minute ago, but I'm interested to see how Superman ages because it feels like there was a lot of hype, and I'm not 100% sure if it's gonna live up to the hype long term.
Okay, yeah,
but I did really enjoy it.
I think people were refreshed by how not bad it was too.
Yeah,
we were like pleasantly surprised.
DC has been struggling, and so I think they needed to make some evasive maneuvers to try to get back on track, and now they could be back on track, but
we'll see.
Yeah,
we shall see.
We'll see.
Yeah, where to go from there with Superman? I feel like we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Important question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the CGI dog? Everyone is wondering.
I did not have any great affection for it besides it being a dog, it was very obviously CGI.
You really didn't like that he was tortured.
Well, yeah,
it's a CGI dog.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm just messing.
It was just I was horrified by the image of his eyes being peeled back and watching the squirrels. Like,
yeah.
I feel like you can't just drop that in the middle of a PG-13 movie and be like, "Oh, and he did that."
Yeah.
And then
that guy gets shot point blank.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. Jiminy.
But go back to the dog. Sorry.
Oh yeah. So more about the dog though. Shut up. So how did I feel about that it was CGI? I feel like it could have been a lot less CGI for the dog. Could have used a lot more practical effects. And I would have liked that.
They might not have been able to.
But then it's like, would it be consistent?
Yeah.
Would that be more distracting?
They kind of had to just go like full Renesmee from Twilight. It was not that bad. Although I did see a movie. Actually, another connection: Fantastic Four and Twilight. There is a CGI baby in Fantastic Four, and it was honestly not great. So Crypto, is that his name? Crypto?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which the CGI was better.
Let me name my dog Bullet. I mean,
Name it after the thing that is your weakness, basically.
yeah, I guess.
Well, but oh yeah, but his
Krypton.
planet.
It's a poor name. Let's just say that. There's a lot of better names you could come up with for Superman's dog. Very poor name.
But to be fair, you find out at the end that it's not his dog.
Like what is it short for? Cryptocurrency?
It's a movie about investing.
Yeah. That's the other thing that I didn't really like about it, is it was just constantly talking about Bitcoin.
It's talking about building equity and
right. Equity in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my main problem with it. The other thing that I did love, though, that I forgot to say, is Metamorpho is so good in this.
He was awesome.
The actor that played him, I don't know, have you seen Barry?
Mm-mm.
Okay. You have to watch.
Is that a Flash thing?
It's a show written by and directed and acted. He's the main actor, and his name he's hilarious. Is it Phil Hader? Is that his name? Bill Hader.
No.
Right? No?
No. Bill Hader is a comedian.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
It's not Bill Hader. Metamorpho is not Bill Hader.
No, but
maybe that is Bill Hader. Wrote, yeah.
Is hilarious, amazing. Like, cannot recommend it enough. At least the first season. So good. I haven't seen the second season, but there's this guy who's in the Chechen mob in that show, who's also one of the main reasons to watch that show. I think Metamorpho's character in this,
Anthony Carrigan is his name.
Yeah, that actor is like born to be the best supporting actor, and it's totally. For me, I didn't even know that till after the film that there was the same actor, but he was so compelling in this, and I really like how they brought that in, that personal element. Although they didn't really address how there was no kryptonium left on Earth, or kryptonite left on Earth.
Yeah,
they just kind of put that as a throwaway. Like, they were like, "Oh, remember, there's no kryptonite left. How are you gonna stop him?" He's like, "Oh, I got Metamorpho."
Yeah,
there was a couple of things like that where I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, they're talking about it like,
yeah, somehow Palpatine returned. Right,
exactly. Where the heck did Palpatine come from? I thought he was thrown out that window.
I saw. Well, he was thrown out a window, and then he was thrown down a hole, and then he returned.
But first, he was
but when
thrown
they said
out a window, which makes Mace Windu's death basically meaningless.
Yeah, but when they say somehow Palpatine returned, it was talking about from Return of the Jedi when Vader.
Yeah, but I was talking about when he was thrown out the window, because that was more traumatic for me.
I don't remember what we were talking about. Love a good tangent.
Yeah.
You were talking about what Barry, and
if you're listening to this, drop in the comments below what would be a better name for Superman's dog than Crypto, which is the worst name ever.
Doge.
Oh yeah. Oh well, there you go. That's hilarious.
Boom.
Yeah. Also. I think that's all I have.
That's it.
Yep. Okay.
Well,
good talk.
Tune in next time.
Next time we will be watching, or at least my pick is A Town Called Panic.
Okay.
Which I'm really excited
It's locked in now because he said it on the podcast.
It's locked in.
All right. Sweet.
And one other film. Good to see you. Thanks for.
Good to see you.
Yeah. As always.
See you next time.
Bye.